Welcome, everybody, to the A&E show. Um, First things first, housekeeping. Um, we have decided to change the name of the podcast. Angelo and I, gave it some thought. We had a couple names, and we are changing it to the Trading Brains podcast. Um, and
Dun dun
so,
dun.
dun, dun, dun. So, yeah, I should have actually made the email address before announcing it, but I'll include the official, email address in the show notes. Most likely, if it isn't taken already, it'll just be, Trading Brains. Should it be podcast? It should be just be Trading Brains at gmail.com or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you'll find it in the
It'll
show
be in
notes.
the,
So
the description below.
yeah, yeah. So please, email us there with any questions. Today, we are going to talk about personal finance. I know we've been all over the place, talking about sports, music, language so far. Um, and today we're talking about personal finance. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Um, and Angela, you looked like you had something to say. So
No, yeah, that's the whole point why we thought about the name about trading brains. We're like, well, Evan brought it up first. He suggested the name, and it makes sense because, like, yeah, our topics are all over the place, but we're just picking up and we're kind of like trading our thoughts about it and putting in both of our inputs on what we think, how we observe, or how why we are so interested in on it, even though the other person or our viewers don't know much about it. We're just trying to pick off each other's brains about it. That's why we have considered changing the name from the A&E show to Trading Brains, because we're just training our thoughts and the
yeah,
way of thinking about it.
yeah, and I think that would be this. It would be the same with any guests that we had on, um, where we could have an expert in a certain field or somebody who has an interest in something that you and I have never explored,
Exactly.
and we can just ask questions and bounce off of them. Um, so yeah, that's how I came up with the name of the show, and I'm excited. I'm gonna make the email address, and then we'll have the YouTube account. Uh, I'll put up all the episodes on YouTube, and then Angelo, uh, I'll talk to you about it later, but we'll figure out how to get the actual podcast episodes up
Yeah.
on iTunes or Stitcher, all that. So today's topic, uh, personal finance. I know, growing up, things were always tight, and everybody has some sort of financial issues um, now and then. Life is never perfect, and so being able to manage your household and manage your money is something that's very important and something that people should know about. And if uh, any of what we say here is useful to you, I'm glad. Um, and so we're gonna talk about a few different things. I'm going to talk about a few different things today. One, tips and tricks on how to actually save money. Two, uh, using your credit card to its like maximum potential. Um, and I'll get into what that means later. Getting low interest loans, or consolidating your loans to get lower interest rates, and banking with higher savings rates. Um, because if you have your money in a savings account, it's not really doing anything for you. So, starting with topic number one, saving money. If you struggle with saving money and you want to get your finances in line, the first thing you got to do is look at your budget and understand where your income is, how much you're getting, and where your expenses are going. I hear a lot of people who, heck, even Maya, um, she enrolled into this program. I think it's called Unext or something. It's kind of like Hulu, but it's like Japan's, like, nobody knows a brand or whatever, and it's
Okay.
like a TV online streaming service, right?
Okay.
She had been enrolled in this for like months, and she thought she canceled it, but they had this like really tricky like thing where it's like, oh no, you only canceled like part of it, right? So but they've been charging her every month, right? And she realized like a year later that she's been losing like 20 something bucks every month.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. So I was
Yeah,
just
there's
like,
actually
oh,
apps. there's actually apps now that helps you, like I think it's Trim,
Yeah, yeah,
Penguin,
actually, yeah, I learned about that.
and then I think there's one more that actually I have used. I forgot the name of it though.
Oh, I know Trim. I read about that actually when I was looking up, stuff for this episode. Um, and so, that's an example of like, something maybe you don't really shop on Amazon anymore. You're trying to cut back on shopping and you still have Prime, but you don't really use any of the benefits of Prime. Consider maybe cutting that, um, or whatever it is that you're enrolled in that you're not using. Um, but before we get to getting rid of subscriptions, a lot of people I know use uh, the envelope method, which is like if you really have no idea where your money is going every month, you don't even keep track of it. The best thing to do is just have an envelope that is dedicated towards specific expenses, rent, utilities, all the necessities. I pretty much consider cell phone a necessity at this point in today's day and age. You kind of need it to function, so just include that there. Um, and then you have your groceries, and uh, you should be investing. If you're really running paycheck to paycheck, and maybe you want to reconsider where you live, how much you pay on rent, and not foregoing coffee. Even if you feel like you need caffeine, you can make a pot of coffee yourself from home. It's
Hmm.
like I think it's like 16 cents or something to like make
Per
a cup.
coffee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but like if you go to Starbucks, it's gonna cost you like what, $4 or $5? So yeah,
For a small.
yeah.
Um,
So stop with the coffee and
don't get
stop
me
with the
wrong, like
avocado toast.
yeah, like don't get me wrong, Starbucks and all those like brands are good coffee if you like those type of like sugary drinks or like sugary
Mm,
caffeinated drinks like that.
yeah.
But like it's something to look like into it because like you're spending that adds up. If you go once a day, $5 here, $5 the next day, and you
Yeah,
go
5 days a
every
week.
day,
It's 20 days in a month. You know,
like
that's
it
22
adds
days.
up, and you go on the weekends, like just say 30, you're already spending $150 just on coffee alone,
Yeah, yeah.
and you
And
make
the key is to think about it as a luxury. Make sure in your mind that like, okay, I don't. This isn't like a need. This isn't something that's
no
just like, oh yeah, I do this every day. That I have to buy it.
the habit. You have to change your habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Question, but would you suggest people to make like an Excel format? Like this
Yeah,
is how
some
much I
people.
bring.
Yeah, yeah. Some
Because
people like to
I have
use
one, and that
spreadsheets and
helps me a lot.
really.
Like just to know like how much spending money I have, not like because I basically have I let's just say X amount. I bring 2,000 home
Mm,
after taxes, whatever. Let's just say that,
uh-huh.
and then after I take out my rent, bills, car payments, loans, whatever I have to take off. Let's just say I have about 500. That's 500 a month I have to spend. And that's like if I want to save, I save. If not, I spend it. And I know some people like spending, like live paycheck by paycheck, which is not the best way if you want to save money and buy a house or move out of your parents' house.
Yeah.
But also someone like some people, if you're young, you're in your 20s, early 20s, they like to live their life to their fullest and they spend. It's like, but like if you have $20 left over or $100 left over, put that to your savings or put that in an IRA or put it somewhere
Mm.
so at least grows even 1%, 2%, or
Yeah,
ten
because I
percent.
mean, retirement is coming, no matter what you do. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get old, and you're gonna need some sort of, you know, nice safety net to support you in when the rough times come. So, I think it's very important to make sure that you're keeping at least a portion of your income, at the very least, like 10% of what you make. Put it in some sort of investment.
Minimum.
Yeah. And like we were talking about apps before, there are apps that help. Like Acorns. Um,
Mm-hmm. It's
Acorns
like spare
just like
change.
rounds up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it rounds up whatever purchase you make on a card if you link it up to Acorns, and then it takes the difference that it rounded up and invests it in a portfolio for you, and it's very hassle-free. Like you don't have to think too much about the investment. I think all you can do is decide like how much risk you want to take on the investments themselves. But like that's a very easy way to automate it and just not even think about it. Just be like, that money's not mine. that money is for me when I'm 65. Like that money is for 65-year-old me.
Or it could be a vacation if it pans out great.
That too. Yeah, I think I'm not sure about Acorns, like how you can make it like a fund for a specific
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm sure there are other apps that can do that as well. So
Um, but what
yeah, but
about
getting back to saving money, um, if you're spending more than like 25-30% on your social life or shopping, like going out to the bar could run up to 100 something dollars. If you forego that, right, and you just like had people over at your house and you had made a nice dinner and you celebrated at home with everyone. And look, I understand the need to socialize. Like it's depressing to just be in your house every weekend and not see people. So um, but if you forego that for even just 3 months, that's like $300, right? That can go into an investment for you, or more specifically, before you start investing, like an emergency fund. You never know what's going to happen. Your company could be uh, consolidated. You could have major layoffs. Like you end up being unemployed.
I know some people are just like, or after one bad accident with their car, that's it. They had to use that
Right.
money to fix the car, and then what else do they have in their savings?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's terrifying. Terrifying. Like for some people, it's just like it's just scared of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I heard. I don't remember the exact number, but I know there's a lot of people in the U.S. who have less than like $1,000 in their bank account. It's like some high percentage. Like, yeah, I was like, wow, that's oof, that's no bueno.
No,
But
no, no, daddy, no.
yeah, no, no, I don't want that life for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you can use the envelope method if it like, and that's for people who have very poor impulse control. If you know yourself and you know that you don't keep track of anything, envelope method is a very basic, very simple way to do it. What I do is I use personal finance apps. So I have an app called Money Tree. In Japan, Money Tree is used a lot. A lot of Japanese people use Money Forward because the user interface is also in Japanese, and you can actually link it up to many different types of accounts. Sorry, um, checking accounts, savings accounts, investment accounts, even like point cards you can put on this personal finance app. So like if I have a point card for um, Rakuten gives you points if you shop at McDonald's with their like Rakuten point card. So and you could probably put your Amazon card on there as well. You keep track of how many points you have on Amazon. So I use that app, and what's nice about it is every single transaction that I make is recorded on the app itself. Now, when I make a credit card purchase, it doesn't get recorded until like maybe 3 days later or so. But if you want to look back at the history of all of your transactions, it's right there and it's very easy. And it also auto categorizes um, for you, Money Tree. I mean, now in the U.S., I think a lot of people use Mint. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Mint?
Yes, I have heard it before.
Okay, okay. Have you thought about using it?
At the moment, no.
Okay.
Just because I haven't gotten around it. But I've heard only good things about Mint. I know my financial advisor has suggested it before, but I just haven't gotten into it just yet because like I've been doing not like I'm not gloating or whatever, but like I've been doing somewhat well for myself right now.
Mm.
So like because I have used Excel and just track my spendings on that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
impressive. Like I would just be like, nah, I don't want to do this spreadsheet bullshit. Like
But
every
like you
transaction
do,
I make.
but you do it like you don't have to do it like every day. It's just more in the fact of like how much do I spend, and then how much do I have left over? What's my spending cash? I don't save like all 500, which I should. I'm not saying that I shouldn't, but I save about anywhere from let's just say $5 or 500, and it's in that range.
Somewhere in that range. Yeah.
I might go out. I might take out my girlfriend to a nice dinner. Okay, now I only have like 100. Let's just say I only have $100 for the rest of the month. But after that paycheck, like I get paid Thursday, that Wednesday, I'm transferring whatever I have left over my checking account. I'm putting it straight to my savings or into my IRA or paying off something or paying off a credit card or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, savings is good for
emergency funds.
emergency fund. Yeah, yeah. But like all of the rest of that, yeah, max out that IRA if you can.
Yeah, I have an IRA, I have a 401k Roth, and
Nice.
I have a 403b since I work in the healthcare.
Nice. I have neither because I'm living in a foreign country and I'm paying into Japanese Social Security, and that could be a whole other episode.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and
maybe
also
we'll
I
talk
have
about that
whole
another time.
term and whole life insurance, and the other one I forgot what it's called, term life insurance I think it's called,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
and then disability just in case.
All right, Angela, we're gonna have to fake your death.
Please.
uh,
But then we can't do this
anyways,
anymore.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, because like we just fake it, right? And then he'd come back out and be like, "Oh, he's alive."
Oh.
Like the guy who died was his twin brother or something, you know?
Pablo.
Wasn't him. Yeah, it was Pablo. Um, so yeah, that's why I use a personal finance app because like all my transactions are tracked there, and at the end of the month, or like I mean, I look at it sometimes throughout the month just to like do a Uncle McScrooge kind of like yes, you know, like I see my balance going up and up and up.
Here's my patience.
Yes, exactly.
Here's my
I'm like
patience.
count that money. Yeah, so I kind of I do that sometimes, but most of the times I'll look at like the month and I'll be like, okay, how much came in, how much went out, and what's going out. You know, where is that going? Is it going to food? Is it going to shopping? Is it going to necessities? You know, where can I cut back? And I've actually been considering um, cutting back on my phone bill. I know a lot of people pay really like an obscene amount on their phone bill because it's a hassle to like find the most optimal plan for you, you know, and your family. But you know, right now I pay like 6,600 yen, which is in English, like $60. You know, so
I spent about that 65.
okay, okay. Yeah, but like if I were to go with like a SIM-free phone, or like they call them kakuyasu SIM in Japanese, and it means like it means super cheap SIM. Uh, and typically their plans like they'll cost about maybe 3,000, 4,000 a month, and pretty much for like most of the same features. So the only reason I haven't actually like switched to that is because of well, I have to do all of that in Japanese, and I have to call these companies and figure out their plans and be like, okay, which one's the best for me? And then the plan I'm on right now, I'm in a family plan with Maya, so we both get like 1,000 yen off our monthly phone bills. You know, so we're saving 2,000 um,
Yeah.
a month. But you know, if I were to switch and I went from the almost 7,000 I'm paying now to 4,000, that'd be 3,000 yen a month, and then I'm retarded, so I'm just gonna. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm stupid. I mean, I use that word all the time, and people get really upset about it lately with all the PC culture. But whatever. Three
Makes
thousand
sense.
times 12. No, that's it's like $350 over the span of a year, right?
Yeah.
And like another reason I haven't done it is because like I don't want to go into another 2-year contract and all this bullshit if I have to
Blah
cancel
blah
it.
blah.
Yeah, yeah. But that's a place to look at your phone bill.
Yeah.
Cut that out. Any expense you have that's like above $50 is worth looking at. Cable bills,
Student loans.
student loans. You can't just like be like, nah, I don't want to pay it. I'm gonna cancel it. Like, no, it's a loan. You gotta pay it. But we could get into that actually, the debt consolidation part.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I like having the software because I can look at my balance. If I'm about to buy something, right? I see like a nice jacket or like I see some nice shoes and I want to buy something. I look at my balance and I'm like, okay, can I really afford this? And
Yeah.
also, do I really want the item? Like it at least lets you sit and reflect and be like, okay, do I really want this item?
But then some people use it
I
on
gotta
their credit card, and they use a credit card like, oh, I don't have that much on the cash, but I can just pay it off after I get the money, and they use a credit card.
Yeah, but see, that's yeah. I mean, that's an issue of how you think about it, you know? Like for me, I never want to make a purchase on a credit card or any sort of borrowed money when
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the balance to pay that off.
Yeah.
at the time I purchase, right? Because like that just I don't know. I'm worried. I'm very anxious about that. I don't want to
Yeah.
please smack me and all that. And I actually want to ask you because I've never owned a credit card in the U.S., but I have a few cards in Japan. In Japan, with credit cards, you make a transaction and then like a month and a half or like 2 months later, they actually pull it out from your account. But they automate that, so there's no
I did
like, hey,
that.
you didn't pay it, so we're gonna get you with like an interest,
Yeah.
a smack.
I set
Gotcha.
that up so I'm making a payment at least once a month,
Okay.
and I
That's
automated it.
See, that's so interesting because like in Japan, it's like a given. When you get a credit card,
Oh
they
no,
immediately like set you up to
you
like
have to
pay it.
you have to pay it off. If with credit cards, loans you set that up because you have to pay them back. With credit cards, like you could wait, and I see people like for 6 months they don't pay it because certain credit cards they don't give penalties right away. So some
Right, right,
people are like, oh, okay, I can use this, I can use this, I can use this. Oh shit, I gotta start paying.
right.
Oh, there's interest, and the interest is not like 5%; it's 30%,
Yeah, no,
8%.
interest on credit cards. Wait, 30%?
Some of them, yeah.
I thought it was like 24.
No, don't. It depends on your credit card.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of
Like
course.
24, 20, 30. I have not seen 20, but just in the range of 20 to 30, I've seen it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, we can talk more and more about credit cards. I mean, we are going to.
Yeah.
If you're like me, and you don't need a car because public transportation in Japan is pretty sweet, or at least in Tokyo, then don't own a car. If you need it to go to work, I guess that makes sense. Like, yeah,
Yes.
there you are.
Or
You
me,
are. Yeah,
you need
you're
a car to
Angelo. You need
drive.
a car to go do anything. Go get groceries. Then yeah, that
You
makes
need a car
sense. Yeah.
because public transportation can be rough if you don't live in a major city. If you live in the suburbs, car is the best. Unless you work in the city.
Is your option, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
It's one of the
So,
options you could do, and
but
depends on what you
even
want to
there,
get.
even there, you can save. I mean, you don't need the newest model
No.
car, and like you just do some research on, you know, what car
But
has a good
some
rating.
but some people like newer stuff. When they do come out, they get the new
You get
toys so they
the
could
new
show it
shiny new
off.
toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, toy. Well, look, this is just about personal finance, and if you want to go spend your money on that shiny new toy, it's all you. I'm just
Giving
here to
advice.
talk
That's the
about.
whole
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah. I'm here. I mean, I'm just here to talk about how I would approach it. How
Mhm.
I would approach buying these things. Um, but there's a car sharing service, Zipcar, where you don't have to pay for gas, maintenance, parking, anything really. You just like pay a certain amount a month, or I think based on the days that you use it. I imagine if you use it like 5 days a week, you may just want to get your own car. But um, some people don't need a car all the time. So, I didn't know about this, but after doing some research, like you can, if you want to go out for a nice dinner, I get it. Like you have to socialize and you want to enjoy your life now. So, you can do that, but if you're smart about it and you go to like a site like Groupon or Living Social, then you can get pretty sweet deals on going out to eat.
Mhm.
Have you ever used Groupon?
I've used Groupon for dinners, events, um, to a local like mini golf, like just to play. You can use Groupon for basically anything for a sweet deal. Why not use it?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do you have to do it as a big group or
no,
no?
want to go on as a date, just you and someone else. Why not?
Nice.
You want to get something, you want to fix your phone. That's Groupon basically anything you want to use it for. That's from like my knowledge and what I have been using it. Like I've used it like, to fix the screen of my phone, and you just pay for that deal, and then you save some money.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah, I
just
mean,
I
because if you
just
go out to a nice restaurant, and it ends up being like $150, you get a
for two
Groupon.
people, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not
There's
bad
yeah,
looking
there's
into it.
there's somewhere you could save. There's
Mhm.
always like some sort of service out there today's day and age where you need to figure out how to save that money.
Mhm.
Save
But with the credit
and
cards, going back to the whole credit cards,
mhm.
like I know like credit cards they have like certain like benefits. Like some people have points, miles, and I'm guessing like that's all vary on what type of person you are spending with those credit cards or those type of cards.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna get into that actually. So with credit cards, it very much depends on like where you want that money to go. So if you like to travel, get an airline card or some card that gives you a lot of frequent flyer miles or something like that. Now, having a credit card, once you've got your finances in order and you can pay it off, then it's great. It's really a good thing. And if you can use your credit card to pretty much pay for every single transaction you make, that's actually the best because the more transactions you make on it, the more what is it? The more points you can get, or the more frequent flyer miles you can get. So for me, like I put all of my utilities, everything, on my Amazon card. So I get points just for paying my bills. And then I can purchase. Like I bought these BCAAs. I don't know if I told you. It was like originally $100, and then because I had Amazon Prime, for both of them, right?
Mhm.
So because I had Amazon Prime, it was like 15% off, and then on top of that, I used like 4,000 points I had gained over the course of like 3 months. You know, which is incredible because like with the Amazon credit card, you only get 1%, um, points back, and then it's like 2.5 if you buy stuff on Amazon with the credit card.
Okay.
So I had accumulated those points up for a while, and it was a nice saving. I didn't have to pay $40 for these BCAs. I got them for half the price.
Nice.
Yeah. Um. What about you? What credit cards do you have? Like, do you have any ones
I
that
have
you
one. I
purchase
have
for?
one. Capital One. I have that with miles because I do like traveling, and since getting into like foot golf, there's tournaments like in Florida. Like I went to Orlando, so using that miles, like instead of spending like 350 on the thing, I think I spent like almost half of it
Hmm.
just from using the card. But also, I don't like using my card because when I start using my card, I start using it and I keep on using it until I make myself to stop it. So I
Right.
try not to use it as much, only if I really need to as a safety net. And then I
Okay.
just pay it off as quick as I can.
I have to admit, yeah, using a credit card is so much easier than using cash. Because like when you use cash, you see the money in your hand. You're like, oh God, this is
Yep.
my money, and like I'm giving it to
And
this
that's the
cash
problem with
register
me.
lady at at the grocery store.
And when I see my
So
card, it's like, oh, okay, here you go.
yeah.
Do you
And
take card
it's
now?
very easy, very easy to do that. Um, and I've noticed after I got the Amazon card, sometimes I would make a purchase, and I wouldn't buy something that like I didn't need, right?
Hmm.
But I probably would have considered whether or not I wanted to buy it at that time more if I didn't have the card, because I
Yeah,
was like, oh, I want those points, I want those
exactly.
points on this purchase. Um, but Yeah, you just got to be mindful of it, and that's exactly why I suggested getting those personal finance apps because Mint, will track every transaction you make, and so as long as you're looking at it, I don't know, maybe like once a week, really, um, you can see like, ooh, should have spent less here, less there. All right.
Yep.
um, because you could get slapped with those interest fees like you were talking about just earlier, like 30%. That's insane. You
No.
got $100 balance. You got to pay $30, and you can't really argue,
Yeah,
unless it's like fraudulent, of course.
but that you have to prove it.
Yeah, you have to prove it.
And as I was talking to a customer service person and put you on hold, and a lot of people just don't want to deal with it. Unless you have
Yeah.
some of those companies, they do
Well, the
it
thing
for
is,
you.
I
Like,
listened to somebody who, like another podcast, where they said that if you fight it, they'll actually take it off for you. You know,
yeah, if
like,
you,
but like as long as you say, like make it a situation where it's like it's not legitimate because somebody could be registered to something like Hulu or Netflix, right?
Exactly.
And then they like forgot to cancel it even though they wanted to cancel it, and they see the credit card charge. You could actually just cancel the subscription and then call the credit card company, right? And be like, no, I canceled. Like, take that shit off. And then they'll be like, oh, okay. But the reason why that they're okay with doing that is because there are a lot of people, like you just said, that aren't willing to fight it. They're just like, whatever.
And the people who does fight it, they fight it. But like also they have like Trim and like or Penguin, I think it's called, and like I think it's called Charlie for that Penguin one. But like some of those people will fight for your like cable bill, so they knock it off like half of it, and then you pay that company whatever. Like let's just say you pay 150 and they knock it down to 75, they take half of that 75, and that's just a one-time payment. But you saved every month. You save $75 a month. You save a good chunk of it.
That's an awesome like business niche. That's pretty cool. I want to know how they do that though, because do they like pretend that they're you and then like argue?
You gave them all the information. That not all your information, but they give you your information of that account. So like they give your name, your passcode, and whatever just for Verizon, and then they'll call. They'll just say you have a Verizon bill and you spend $300 on the Verizon bill. And you don't want to spend $300, so they'll have someone legit call them and fight for you, because when you try to fight to lower down your cost for a cable or whatever, they just put you on hold for like 2 hours or an hour or 30 minutes, whatever. No one wants to wait on the phone for an hour and not to talk to anyone. You're on the phone, oh, I can't do something. No, someone else will do it, and they do everything for you. It's hassle-free. Nice. So the only thing you have to give is some sort of information.
Whatever you save.
Yeah,
but that's fine, because like if you weren't gonna do it in the first place, at least you're saving money. That's an awesome service. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know about that. Yeah, I mean, if you still have cable, I don't understand what you're doing.
I just know when I have
if you want to watch sports, I get it.
Hulu TV and Netflix, all the streaming service, and then just split it up with my friends and family, mostly with my family. Then you pay for Netflix, I pay for Hulu, and just switch everything around. That's it.
Yep.
And that comes a little bit. If that comes a little bit more expensive, whatever. But like, I like those stuff. Like, I know I will be watching those shows because it's all the shows into one. I can binge watch and whatever. So,
let's hope ads never come.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a paid service, so
exactly.
But, that's the crazy thing about cables. Is, it's a paid service, but you still get served ads. It's crazy.
If you look at your bill for your cables, a good chunk of it's service. It's like legit transported from like the Verizon to your TV. And that's like even your electric bill too. Like if you look at like I know like Long Island Grid's so old that when you actually look at the bill and you actually take your time to look at the bill, about 50% or more, it's just the transportation of the electricity from the grid to your home.
Wow.
Not just like the light itself or like the computer working. It's legitimate just from A to B to come here.
Right.
Or come to your home.
Yeah.
It's absurd. You shouldn't be paying for something that they should be doing it. You should be paying just for the service, but also you're paying for everything.
Well, I mean, if you pay for the infrastructure through taxes or if you pay through that cost, it's all the same, really.
Yes.
I think transparency is key. That's all. It's like, okay, well, somebody has to pay for it. Somebody has to pay the salary of, or the wages of whoever set up those poles and maintain them. So, of course.
That's fine. Like the service, that makes sense because it's a service that you can't do. That's why there's jobs like that.
Yeah.
So.
But like you said, if you have a family and they're willing, get a family phone plan. Don't try not to be on your own, as best you can. And if you really want to watch channels on cable, I've heard of this service called TiVo Volt. Like, they got plenty of channels, and you don't need to be paying for services you don't need. That's how you can save that money.
That's what it's all about. Keeping your own money to yourself.
Yeah. And like by saving money, not just keeping it in a savings account, and like I should put my money where my mouth is here because all I'm doing right now is putting my money in a savings account. And there's a reason that I'm not investing it. But you should put all your money you can into. If you're working at a company that pays a 401k and matches you, put like as much as you can, because that's just free money. That's free money, and you should take that. So put it into 401k. Then after that, IRA, whatever, and make sure you have an emergency fund. Typically, an emergency fund should be like, I don't know, 3 to 6 months of your
Just
monthly
in case.
expenses. Yeah. Well, like we were saying earlier, you never know what could happen. You could lose your job, the building could go up in flames. Who knows? But yeah, those are the ways that you can save money. Getting back to credit cards, though, I mean, like the ones I use. Let me see here. I actually applied for one called Life Card in Japan, and they have like their own sort of like store where like you get Life Card points, and then you could use those points at the Life Card store. So they have like a bunch of different services and goods that they sell, and it's like a marketplace. Now you can also just transfer those points to like an Amazon gift card, right, or to some other form of getting cash back. And it was kind of a hassle, but I was like, you know what? The first year they give like 2.5% back on any purchase. Like it doesn't matter where you buy it from, So I considered that. Now I applied for it and I got denied, so I didn't get the card. But I applied for Rakuten and Amazon, and I was using Rakuten a lot more for a while because they had this plan where like, oh, if you sign up for the credit card, you get like 6,000 or like 7,000 points off the bat. So I literally bought Mario Kart on my on my Switch for free because I had those points that I got from signing up with Rakuten.
Early birthday.
I bought it from Rakuten, so that purchase itself also earned me more points. And then with Amazon, I actually have Prime now. I got into Prime like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. And it's really convenient. I mean, I bought that cloth I was using a few episodes ago, and I bought these BCAAs, and it's really nice because these BCAAs came from the States, and it would have cost me like a lot probably in shipping if I had Prime. So yeah, I want to get like a airline card if I could. Once I'm back in the U.S., that way I could like get miles and be able to visit my family out in Arizona or whatever. What kind of cards do you have? Like, do you get flyer miles?
I have flyer miles, and then points. My was one Chase. I have like just points, and then I use those points either I can pay back my credit card, and I could transfer it into cash or buy stuff on through like Chase, will it be like either with Amazon or food or something like that, so I could use my points for something else as well. But I don't use my points because it's all right. I just had it for a long since I was in college, and I just have like what I'll do. I'll just put one of my let's just say I think I put my Netflix account on it, and then just let that pay that month, and then just pay it off, and then just make a automatic payment, whatever the $20, whatever Netflix costs, and then that's it.
So I heard a really interesting thing that I had never thought about before. Again, on another like finance resource, where you should have as many credit lines open as you can, right? Like the amount of because the total amount of credit you have makes you a more like credible person, and if you want to get a loan, you got to have these lines of credit. The average age of that credit also affects your credit score, and so like when I get back to the U.S., I want to make like a bunch, like all at the same time if I can, or apply for whatever I can, and whatever I don't get, I don't get, But yeah, like you were doing,
your credit, but when you apply, your credit line goes down. So when you try to open, be careful. Don't try to open up one, wait for a year, and then open another one. Do it like periodically, because your credit line also affects how much like your credit score.
Okay.
So if you let's just say like you try to open up all these credit cards at once, your credit score will go down because you're making so many inquiries, and people don't like that. Like the credit scores doesn't like that. So you would do, yeah,
Wow.
and lower your credit scores a lot. So when you try to open, like you might get like that first two, but that third one will be harder now because you just open up, you try.
Right, because you made those inquiries.
So if you want those,
That's
like,
such baloney. What the hell?
so you have to, if best case scenario or worst case, open up one or two, wait for a couple, like a year, and then
Yeah,
open
yeah, yeah.
another one and two.
I don't want to wait like a year though. I'll probably wait like I don't know.
6 months. I'm just saying a
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Just
yeah. You gotta like give it some time
give some time.
to rest, I guess,
So
or just
best thing if you
rest,
want to do that,
rest.
use a credit card just for traveling. Use a credit card just for streaming service. Just use a credit, and then you just basically pay it off.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a
Well,
lot
that's why
just we
I
get to
like
keep
what you
on track
said
of.
because it's exactly the point. What they were saying was like um, if you increase the amount of transactions that you actually paid off, right, per
Mhm.
credit line, that also increases your credit. So like if you have a credit card you really never use, and you just put like one recurring monthly bill on that credit card and you just pay it off, that's like the best way. Put
Yeah.
one Netflix subscription on a card, one, I don't know, like if you pay your utilities with credit card, put it on one
Mhm.
credit card, or Hulu or whatever. Like it could be like a
Yeah.
$5 charge, doesn't matter.
Or you
It's
could
going to
just use
improve
it
your
just
credit.
for, like you say, you go out for food. Use
Yeah,
that, pay it off at the end of the month. That's it.
yeah.
But so let's just see when people. Let's actually like just move on to the next topic. 'Cause we're
Well, I
up.
have
We
one more
are
thing. I have one more
okay.
thing. If you want to try to get a low interest credit card, and I know that's like an oxymoron, because like,
Yes.
um, but if you are part of a credit union, I'm part of Bethpage, Federal Credit Union, and I've heard the credit union credit cards are actually not as
Yeah.
bad. Like you can get rates of like 10%, and that's still like you don't want to pay that, of course. Like you want to pay
No.
off all your credit cards, you never want to pay any, interest fees or whatever. But if you know yourself and you're gonna make those impulse purchases that Angela was talking about earlier, where like, oh yeah, I'll have the money at the time. Like, probably best to get this credit card for you.
Mm. Um, but so when people do get into these impulse like buy-ins and they just forget to pay it, and then now they have to pay them off, but like they have racked up so much credit, so much money now. So what's the best way for them to pay it off? Do they consolidate all their debts to
I
make it
am
all one
happy.
payment,
I'm happy that you
or
bring this up.
I know a lot of people what they'll do is they open up an account, they max it out, they start to pay it off until they hit interest because some credit cards they'll do like 1 year with no interest, and after that 1 year, they still have to start paying interest. What they'll do is open up a new line and transfer that whole credit card debt into that new credit card debt, and then pay it off that.
Huh? I didn't know you could do that.
A lot of people, like I
I
know,
didn't know you could move credit card, debt
well,
into
basically you
another
just make.
credit card.
Well, it's basically what you do is just making that payment on that card, a new card, to your old card. Like, oh, how you're paying this card? Oh, I'm using this account.
I think that's hilarious. The credit card companies let you pay off their credit card debt with a credit card
Technically
transaction.
speaking, you are paying them. They get their money.
Yeah, they get their money, so they don't care. Yeah,
And then the other one's like, oh, you're using our card.
yeah, yeah. True. Um,
So, but going back to the question, how do they? What's the best course of action?
right. So, if you've maxed out and you are in a hole and you can't pay it off, you're basically just paying interest. I found that you can go to a website called Lending Club. It's an investing platform. Um, and I don't know, have you heard of Lending Club before?
I've heard about it.
Okay, so it's like a peer-to-peer lending and borrowing service,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go on there and apply to take out a loan, or you can invest in other people who want to, take out a loan. And so, if you have a lot of credit card debt and you're running up like 20 to 30% interest, a lot of loans that are listed on Lending Club are debt consolidation loans. So people will fill out a form, saying, "Hey, here's the purpose of the loan. Here's why I want to get this money, so I can pay off this credit card debt and have a lower interest rate." Blah blah blah. And it's a win-win situation. The investors get a return of like maybe 10 to 15%, depending on whatever the terms of the loan, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like one person is deciding like, oh, I'm going to finance your loan. It's like a bunch of different people,
Yeah.
can do it. And then actually partway through the loan, if they no longer want to be a part of that loan, they can sell that portion that they hold to, another investor or whatever. But that's really what I think a great way to consolidate your credit card debt, because you got to pay off the loan anyway. No matter what, that money's not yours and you need to pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's better to have 10% than 20, 30%. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you're just paying back a different person, and I think that's one way to consolidate your credit card debt. Have you heard of anything else that people have done to like?
I
really
haven't seen an app called Tally, and if they have multiple credit cards.
Uh-huh.
So what Tally do, basically, it's group these 3 credit cards. Let's just say you have 3, right?
Uh-huh.
And instead of paying each one of them differently, you group them and you pay one payment and spreads them out. And whatever's like the highest, I think it has a formula that pays the smallest amount quick, and it's actually a lot faster, and you save more money using Tally than actually making 3 separate payments.
Okay. Okay, so it'll put in the minimum necessary to like not accrue interest to whichever one is more prioritized, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's when
based on the amount and the percentage that you would have to pay.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I like that sort of like automation type stuff.
Yeah.
That's in terms of like loans. I've heard that if you have I don't have student loans, thank God.
I do.
I know, and I know you do. So this is definitely an arena that you could speak to. But I heard that if you have federal loans, and once you actually have to make payments, I heard that you may want to look into switching them over to private loans. But I also heard that you lose some protections from that.
Yes.
So like you get a lower interest rate, but
Yes, but like the more private loans
Yeah.
are more aggressive with you when you have to pay them, while the federal loans is like they have more options. Right. So like I do the Fed loans, and I do this program called income-based repayment. So basically, it's like how much I make. Let's just say I make $25,000 a year, just whatever. I'm only paying a certain percentage, like a small percentage, because I only make a small amount. But if I make $100,000 a year, I'm putting more into it.
Right.
So it's nice because if you don't make much, you don't have to spend much to it, so you can save some money on top of it. But if you make much, you have to put more into it because you're making so much.
Yeah, but you'd have to pay off the balance, right? So like over the course of many years, you just.
And then with Fed loans, if you work with the federal, if you work for a non-profit organization, they have a loan forgiveness called, which I'm actually currently in, which is a public service loan forgiveness. So I work in the healthcare system, and it's also the nonprofit organization. So basically, I'm like a public servant that I'm giving back to the public. I'm helping them with their needs or whatever they do need. And after 10 years of making qualified payments once a month, the rest of my loans, I had to fill out an application, and after the 10 years, whatever's left over gets forgiven. And there's teaching loan forgiveness, public loan forgiveness, veteran loan forgiveness, and there's a bunch.
Many different plans.
Yeah, but with private loans, there's not much with that.
Right, it's like pay it off. It's like a credit card.
Exactly, and that's why I do like Fed loans.
I was under the impression that the U.S. did not have income-based plans. I thought that it was like a very European thing, and I'm very pleased to hear that actually.
Yeah. There's income. There's standard, which I know people spend like $1,000 a month on payments. Last year I think I paid like $250. Now I'm spending $140. Right. For that I saved and I'm currently making actually the same amount. But I don't know how they did it with the IRA, but it's working out just nice. I save 110 extra that I can use my spending money or savings or whatever. I can transfer it to whatever I needed to do.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I hear that if you switch to a private loan, the interest rate's actually lower. Do you know how much they lower by on average?
Private, I don't know since I'm not in one. I know,
Right.
but like with federal loans, no, my federal loans for each loan that I have is about anywhere from 5 to 6%.
Okay.
And there's some that are 13, but like it's very few of them, not much.
Right.
But I'm happy where I'm at, and I know some are even lower, like I think 3%,
Right.
4%, but federal is more standardized. It's like either 4 to 13, while private can be vary.
Mm. Yeah. I was just thinking about like, stocks on average make like 7 to 9%, right? So
Yeah,
like if you had the money to pay off your loan, you actually
hmm
probably should just pay as you would normally instead of paying it all off at once and just
exactly.
invest whatever money that you have. I mean, it would have to equal the amount of the loan, but if you invested that in stocks instead, you'd actually be making, money off that.
Mhm. Um, but yeah, no, that's with
Thank you
loans.
very much for speaking to that because like, I don't really know anything about like the
Uh,
loan system. So.
yeah, loans was my go-to, and I'm still using them for going for my doctoral program now.
Right.
And they say it helps you a lot because I don't have to pay certain loans because
Oh,
I'm in
that's
school.
nice.
Um,
And it being in school and the income based one.
yeah, the income base saves me a lot because if I had did the standard paid, it would be like 500-600 bucks, and I did that for the first couple of months, and it was just like holy, like god, like goddamn, like it's a lot. And now it's like, oh, I'm making payments, but on my credit, just since I'm paying it to a
You're
credit, like
actually paying it. Yeah.
um, and it's not much. So
So do you pay your student loan on a credit card, like with a credit card?
I paid to my checking account. Um,
Okay. Okay. You have it
because I
linked to your
don't,
checking account, and
and then they
it
just
just
take
like
off. Yeah,
draws.
every month. Let's just say on the 18th, they just take off,
Okay.
which
Gotcha.
is fine. I should put it into it, like
Right, because you
open up
keep
a
track.
credit, but I just hassle free. Just link it up to my account, my bank account. That's it. It's done.
Right.
Finish. Um, but so far so good. But going with the bank accounts, because like right now I'm with Capital One,
Okay.
and I have a saving account that's 1%. But
1%.
1%, and that's pretty good for those big name companies. But
Yeah.
like also I do like it because it's nationwide. It's like I could go any state and there's a Capital One for the most part. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Right.
But the saving's not fantastic. I know it's higher than others, but like is there any other out there that are higher than that?
Yeah. There are plenty that are higher up. So there's a bank account that I've been wanting to make an account with for a while, maybe almost like a year. But because I'm not in the U.S., no bank account wants to deal with me because I don't have, an address, right? So I actually that's the reason I'm behind what I was talking about earlier with I can't make any investments because I'm an American, but I'm living abroad. So on a tax standpoint, nobody wants to deal with me. Like
Mm-hmm.
no investment platform, no brokerages, whatever. They're like, no, sorry, we don't need you as a customer, because it's just too much of a hassle for them, a lot of paperwork. But I wanted to make a bank account with Ally Bank. Now, Ally Bank is an online bank. They virtually have like no branches. I'm sure there's one like maybe in Manhattan or whatever, but um, they give 2.1% on their savings uh, bank account. Yeah, the savings accounts, and I'm pretty sure they have like some sort of deal with a bunch of different banks where
Mm-hmm.
you can get like rebates on your ATM withdrawals, right? And a lot of places that you go shopping, like, can't you do like cashback, where it's like you pay more on the card or whatever, and then you get cash back
Yeah.
from the register. I mean, you just like utilize that as your ATM. Just make sure you
Mm-hmm.
have
Take out
cash.
50 bucks, 20 bucks, whatever you
Yeah,
need.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like when you're banking, I believe that you should do your best to just not pay any fees, like no ATM withdrawal fees or whatever.
Oh
You
yeah,
need to
because
pay
that's
that.
like it adds up. $2, $3, depends
Oh
on what
yeah,
ATMs you use.
yeah, absolutely. And so like savings accounts, typically you get like nothing in terms of your
Mm-hmm.
interest that you get. It's like 0.2%, something like that.
Yeah.
I know ING has this something called an orange account, and I looked into it very briefly. I couldn't find the actual interest rate that they give you. But what's nice about it, from what I read, is that it compounds daily. So, like, if you have $1, let's say you have $1 in the account, and um, it's probably way less than 5%. But let's say they give you an interest rate of 5%, right? Put $1 in. Next day, you get like what, 5 cents in the account, and then the next day, it also accrues 5% on top of that, dollar and 5%.
Every day.
$1 and 5 cents. Yeah, every day. Now the interest rate is probably very, 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 very low, but because it's
compounds.
compounding daily, because it's compounding daily, it's probably like in effect, it's probably a higher interest
Well,
rate
would
than
that
you'd
be like an
expect.
exponential curve? Because technically it is
Yeah,
compiling every day of,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just constantly going up.
it would.
Oh, I gotta look into that.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should. It's ING Orange account.
Okay.
But again, like I didn't find the actual interest rate, and I'm sure there's probably some other, like, term on it. Because if it's like compounding like that, I'm sure everybody would, put their money in it.
Yeah.
And ING probably wouldn't be able to support it. But yeah, definitely worth looking into. And I'm gonna do that once I go home. I've been looking at all this stuff just to
But
make sure
can't
I
do.
know what I need to do. Yeah, but just because so I know what to do when I get home. Like
Mhm.
I want to make an account with Fidelity. I want to invest in a bunch of Vanguard funds and Betterment actually. And I think there's with Fidelity you can invest in money markets or
Okay.
CDs or anything like that. And those are like kind of they're a little bit more risky, but they're still
Mhm.
kind of liquid. But they make
Yeah.
like 2 to 4, 5%.
Oh,
Really
nice.
2 to 4%, 2 to 4%.
Yeah,
Um,
there's one called Self Lender. Have you ever heard about that?
no, I haven't. Tell me.
So it's basically like a CD. You make a CD out of it, and
Okay.
you put like I think like 50 or $40 a month. I'm doing it right now. And so it's people who wants to increase their score because technically you're putting money away into a CD, but you're making payments to it. So what they will do, they help you out and they will try to help you with increasing your score, your credit score.
Okay.
So by the end of 2 years or whatever, 1 year, I think it's a year that I'm doing it.
Uh-huh.
And after the year, that thing opens up, you could do it again and make it into like a saving account because it does accrue over like 2%
Right,
after
right.
the year. But you're making like $40 a month. It's not bad. It's not wasting like it's not a big hole in your pocket, your bank
Yeah.
account.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And it
then
increases your credit score.
exactly.
That's pretty
And
cool.
it went up by
Yeah,
like actually like not like 1 or 2 points. It went up by like 10, 20 points.
right. I would like you to tell me more about that once I get home, because
Yeah.
all that's moot, until I actually get home.
Yeah, but like you could just put it down right now. Like I just wrote down like the ING Orange account. Just write down self lender. If
I could,
anything.
well, because I still have one bank account. Like I closed my
Yeah.
Chase account. I closed everything else just to make sure that like I didn't get hit with slap with no fees or.
Yeah.
But I kept my Bethpage Federal Credit Union account, so I can actually transfer money to that and then do whatever from there.
Exactly.
I would actually, yeah, I'd be into that.
Not the worst case scenario.
Well, I increase my credit score while I'm, here, and that's something I could do while I'm outside the U.S. Because right now, like, once I get back home, I'll be starting from zero, So if I could get started on that earlier, that would be really cool.
Yeah, look into it.
So another thing was, and I didn't really have this in the show notes, but if you invest in the platform called Betterment, you can use it as like an emergency fund, right? So Betterment itself will invest for you. You just tell them how much risk you're willing to take on it, and if it's an emergency fund, you might want to think about the amount of risk that you take on. But you can put like your entire emergency fund in Betterment rather than a savings account, and Betterment will make you more money off of, investing that money for you. And yeah, there's fees on withdrawals or whatever, but they're very minuscule, and I think it would be better to put your money, all of your emergency fund money, into a Betterment account. Excuse me, rather than a savings account, because if you're using a regular savings account, it's like 0.2%, right? But Betterment itself will get you, anywhere from 4 to 7, depending, of course, on what you end up investing in. And that's something I want to look into. Using Betterment as my savings account instead of having, like, I probably won't even need a savings account. I'll probably get Ally, right? Because it's 2%, and that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be for, like, I don't know, $500 or so. That like super emergency money.
Not bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about for this episode. There's a lot more we could go into, but I think we covered a lot this time, and I want to go into more detail about some of these things that I brought up, not only today, but things I want to bring up in the future too, because I want this to be useful for listeners, and I hope that whatever we said from the beginning to the end of this podcast, at least some part of it was like interesting, or you Googled it and you found the service that you wanted, or you didn't even know you wanted, and is now helping you with your finances, your credit score, debt consolidation, all that. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Angelo.
Well, thank you, Evan, for taking base on talking about this interest of yours. And it is a big factor in everyone's life, like personal finance. It's just like where you want to be in the next, let's just say, weekend, or next summertime, or next year, or next 5 years. It's money is money. Money makes the world go round, and it's either that you live it in the fullest by paycheck by paycheck, and that's great if you want to live like that, but not really at the same time. Or you save every single penny of it, but you might not live your life, but in the end, when you retire, you have all this money.
Yeah. Well, you just need to know how to use the money, like,
exactly.
You gotta start young. That's the problem. It's like,
make mistakes when you're young.
Yeah.
Be risky when you're young, because when you get older, you're gonna be way more conservative.
Of course, because you need that money.
Exactly.
You need to withdraw it. You can't just put it.
Because when you retire, it's whatever you have in your pension, 401k, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, right now, I'm allowed to make.
And I don't know. The idea of having my money make money for me is exciting.
Exactly. Compounding effect.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. Is people needs to be not educated, because people have been taught about it. It's just taking the advice that is out in the open.
Well, I think you.
And that's what we're doing. And that's
you could say educated, because we're just opening up people's eyes to things that maybe they didn't know, or they didn't see, or they didn't understand in their worldview, right? So
like I didn't know about that.
If you had a full picture of, like, you could live like this, where you live paycheck to paycheck and you have tons of credit card debt, and you're working your ass off trying to pay it off, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you'd rather live this way, and it'll be difficult because you have to save and you have to be disciplined in your approach to how you spend your money, but then it'll end up paying off.
Exactly.
Very much. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, like I did, like today, like in this podcast, and we're just trading our brains, and just like you knew about the orange account, but like I knew about the self-lending account or the Fed loans. Yeah. Like, it's giving us an advice that you're telling from your point of view what I'm doing, and also we're giving the audience advice on what they should do with their money.
Right.
And that's the best part about it. Is just exchanging ideas and advice that could be beneficial for them in the future or the next day.
Yep.
And that's what matters the most.
That's what matters. That's what matters.
All
right. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully, stay tuned for next week, for next episode.
Yeah, should we talk about what we're going to talk about next episode? We're going to do. I know one of them was video games.
Yes, it was video games. You are right.
We got another topic.
No, it was video games, and
Yeah,
then
no, it
after
was.
that,
It was.
and after that is writing.
Writing. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, next episode we're gonna talk about video games. Huge part of my life. Huge part of my youth. Angelo knows
Yeah.
very well.
Um, Big part of my life as well. It's a nice de-stress. A lot of people just use it. Now people make money off it into esports.
Yeah, it's insane.
Or
Insane.
now it's either that you be competitive like that, or now it's for leisure fun. You play like just single player games.
Yeah, you're either a competitor or you're a comedian. You know, like
Exactly.
that's it.
But that's next week. But stay tuned. Thank you
Yes.
guys for joining. Um, and I hope you take these advices from the personal finance episode.
Yeah, and I will include everything we talked about in the show notes and the
Yes.
description, so you can check out all the resources there. All right.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.